It was the Monday of Fight Week back in 2020 when the pandemic had other ideas for us UFC fans. It is now March 2022. We are back in London, 3 years since we had an event here, and we have an absolute cracker. I cannot wait. This is Fight Day Focus. We are back, UFC London 2022, Paul Felder. We've been around the world, but we've been missing out on London for 3 years, my friend. Yeah. But finally we're here.
We are here. And
feels good.
I'm enjoying it, so I can only imagine, how do you feel, my friend? Because it's been a long time.
Giddy.
We've been waiting to work. You've only been to Fight Island, and now we're finally back in London.
I mean, Fight Island was good.
Yeah.
You know, we got closer, which was a lovely, thing to have as well.
We dabbled in a bit of triathlon.
We did all of that. But look at this backdrop. Look at this Canary Wharf behind us, the Isle of Dogs. We got the O2 Arena next door. This is, everything. We're just taking everything up a notch.
Yeah, this view is stunning, to be honest. And just being here, being out in the streets, getting around, going to some of these pubs and just having fun here. And then these fighters, man, the guys from the UK, the guys that traveled over here, you can feel the energy whether you're here at, fighting on your home turf or not.
Well, this is it. So you've been on the big events. You've been on the pay-per-views. Like, I don't get the shout for those. But you do, right?
Yeah.
What is it like compared? Because some of these other guys from the States have come over and said, this doesn't feel like a fight night. This feels like a pay-per-view event.
It's nothing like a fight night. This is like a pay-per-view event. It really is. You don't get the crowds that we just had at weigh-ins, for a fight night like that. We don't even do the ceremonial weigh-ins for a lot of these fights at the Apex. It's a much smaller production, but this, we go all out for over here because we know that the UK fans, the London fans are going to come out. They're going to be loud. They're going to support their people, and they're going to support just the fighting itself. It's one of those cultures where
they've been starved as well.
Yeah, you go to certain places in the world, and you can tell that certain people just enjoy a good old-fashioned fist fight, man, and people that are going to throw down. It's true.
All week around the hotel, there's been scuffles. There's been good stuff. Interesting stuff. What have you taken from it, apart from Egggate and Paddy and Topuria?
I think it's all good.
That sounds like a dessert.
Yeah.
Paddy and Topuria.
Topuria does kind of. But I think it's just all good energy, right? It's bringing hype to the event. And, some of what was said and things like that, obviously that's not all great. But a little bit of conflict, a little bit of tension amongst fighters. There hasn't been anything really that bad, but you can just tell there's fans now. You're starting to get around. We're starting to sense that the event is getting closer, and the energy is it's great, man. I love it here. I love going out here. I love hanging out. It's just so different. The culture is, you go to a pub and you feel like you're in somebody's living room. That's what I love about being over here in this city.
Nice. Well, it's good to have you. And I'm glad that you're enjoying all the culture as well. But we were just talking about...
all I'm talking about is drinking beer, basically, the whole time.
Yeah, you're showing your hand here.
There's some fighting stuff I've done, but the pints,
Well, it's always great to have you here in London, Paul. But we have plenty coming up on Fight Day Focus. We have a bunch of interviews from after the weigh-ins. UFC President Dana White joins us as well. And in studio, we have Ciryl Gane. How about that? But first, we were talking about Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. What a debut it was. He's done some awesome work at Cage Warriors as well. Let's remind ourselves about all of that and take a closer look at Paddy the Baddy.
My goal in this is to be the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And I'm gonna do it. I'm not planning on settling for anything less. This is just the beginning.
I'm the new face at the UFC. You'd better get used to it because the man's arrived.
Every so often in MMA, you get the sense that you're witnessing something special.
Put me in there with anyone and I'll smoke you.
We got the power.
You just see the sheer confidence that this guy puts forward. He absolutely believes he's unbeatable, and every time he backs it up.
Flying in the big right hand. He's got it. Pimblett with the flying triangle. Do you go him now?
Well, Paulie, do you think he's feeling the pressure to deliver on all of these promises?
I don't know that he is. There's certain guys where...
Could you say what he's been saying? And
no, but that's because I am who I am, and Patty is who he is. Certain guys thrive off different things, right? Mentally, we all focus for fights in completely different ways. Some guys like to isolate themselves, stay quiet, live like Rocky lifestyles and not do anything. Some guys have to be in the public eye, doing the interviews, talking trash. Look at Conor. He's got to be just spitting venom at you for him to get ready for fight night. Other guys want to give you a hug at the weigh-ins and then they can smash your face on Saturday night. So I think this is just everything going smoothly and according to plan for him. Now, the big question is obviously what happens on fight night. But I think for him, I honestly think he enjoys it.
Yeah. Analytically, though, your weight class as well.
Yeah.
What do you see that's good about him, but perhaps a couple of things that you're concerned about?
Well, to me, he's a fighter, right? I mean, he does enjoy being in there, and anybody that is thriving off living in the moment like that, no matter how chaotic it is going to do pretty well in their career. But that being said, you're in the weight class with some absolute monsters and some assassins and snipers in this division who are going to find that chin, even if you're got fantastic defense. So if you're somebody who's a little wild, you better have an amazing chin on you, because it's been tested in your debut against somebody who's nowhere near on that level as some of these guys, that if he keeps winning and keeps having all this kind of success outside of the octagon too, where people want a piece of Patty, he's going to have to, I think he's going to have to sharpen some things up, or it's going to be, leveled off pretty soon.
Yeah. He has got that He-Man look. Do you remember the cartoon?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's so good. And the way that he balloons up and then slims right down.
That I think that's another thing that has to change.
Yeah.
You can't, it's something I did myself throughout my career, and it just, you see guys that balloon up and then cut and then balloon up and cut. It's just not good for the longevity. It's not good for your brain and how you're going to handle shots. I think if he can stay a little fitter, stay off of the McDonald's and all that kind of stuff. I saw his video where he had a cheat day. I'm like, that's not a cheat day.
That's a cheat month.
That's never good. You can't do that as an athlete in camp. If you want to go have a burger, make it. Put real cheese on it. Put real buns on it. Don't get that crap.
Look at you. We have plenty more still to come here on Fight Day Focus. Laura Sanko is handling the interviews backstage. Ciryl Gane joins us as well. And talking of Laura, she caught up with UFC President Dana White.
Thank you so much, guys. Well, Dana, it has been a long 3 years, but the UFC is back in London, and I can tell you the energy this week has been absolutely buzzing. Now that you're here, has the reception been compared to your expectations?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited for tomorrow. It's a different level here. The fans here are so fun. The energy, chants, and going into tomorrow's card, the best UK talent we've ever had in the history of the company. So I have very high expectations for tomorrow night.
Well, in the main event, we've got some heavyweights, a rising star in Tom Aspinall taking on a dyed-in-the-wool veteran in Alexander Volkov, a guy who can do it all versus a guy who has seen it all. What are you expecting from these two?
Yeah, it's a big fight in the heavyweight division. It's an important fight in the heavyweight division. And obviously, if Aspinall can win this fight here in his home country, probably break into the top 5 next week when the rankings come out. So fight's a big deal, and it's very important for the heavyweight division.
Top 5 certainly is one thing, but do you feel like, given his skill set, I mean, is he well on his way to getting a title shot in the near future if he gets past Volkov?
Well, you break into the top 5, you're in the discussion. Then, he'll have a couple guys to beat on his way, so he'd probably be a year away from a title shot.
Co-main event, Arnold Allen taking on Dan Hooker. Arnold Allen on a ridiculous win streak in the UFC, 8-0, and Dan Hooker looking to reassert himself back at featherweight. This is another fight where it feels like potentially the winner could find themselves in the top 5.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And obviously, for Allen, beating a guy like Hooker says it all. You're going to find out really where he's at. I mean, his record's unbelievable, but where's he really at? We'll find out tomorrow night.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the media sensation that is Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. Everybody wants a piece of Paddy this week. And to be at that level with just one UFC win, what's your reaction?
Yeah. The kid's got a lot of steam behind him. Super exciting. People love him. And everybody keeps talking about, wait till you see his walkout tomorrow. Yeah, I want to see his fight. The thing is, you can have all that steam and all that, the fans loving you and going crazy. Got to come out and win. So he comes out, blows the roof off this place, and comes out with a win. It's going to be fun to watch.
the proof will be in the product. Dana, if the fans tonight are any indication of what the fans are going to be like tomorrow night, it's going to be absolutely insane. Thank you so much for taking a second. We'll check back with you tomorrow. Thank you. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
It's great to know that the boss man enjoys his time here in London, and some really interesting comments as well. I think he wants to see Paddy fight because it all hinges on that, right? And those comments that he made about Aspinall, very interesting. We're going to come to that, but the fight that no one is better positioned to talk about is, of course, the Dan Hooker versus Arnold Allen fight. So let's put some eyes on Dan Hooker first before we go to Triple A. How difficult is this guy to fight?
He's so dangerous, John. He's got great submissions. If you shoot on him, he's got a beautiful guillotine. He knows how to work his way back up. He's shown an evolution in his wrestling game recently that we saw in the Nasrat fight as well. But it's the Muay Thai knees up the middle that I think make Dan so dangerous. And I think with the way that Arnold, in that southpaw stance, the way he moves in and out, and we've talked to him, we know that there's possibly going to be level changes and trying to take advantage of the weakness of Dan in the wrestling department sometimes. And just the way that lines up, I think that is going to set up some beautiful knees, coming up the middle for Dan. And he hits hard, man. I know he's a skinny guy going down to 145 again, but there's a snap to those punches that Hooker hits you with that do damage. I mean, he broke my orbital in 2 different places with I think one of the first jabs he hit me with in the fight.
Good Lord. He looked absolutely shredded on the scales. Do you think it looks like a good cut, though? Do you think he's going to be able to use that to his advantage?
Yeah, I do think it was a good cut. I think that he did things right. I mean, I know he's been having some fun with his nutritionist and posting chicken nuggets and things like that online. I don't know if people saw that, but
yeah, I did, yeah.
I think it's because he's in a calorie deficit and he was able to actually eat, which means that he's been putting the work in to make the cut to 145. I mean, he's spot on. His energy seems good. He does seem focused for this fight, and he knows. Like I talked about it on the show today, earlier today, that number is what he's after with Arnold Allen. He has no beef really. He just wants that number next to his name.
Yeah, well, it seems like a good time actually to throw to Dan Hooker, who was with Laura Sanko earlier on.
Thank you so much, guys. Well, Dan, one of the first 10 fighters on the scales this morning, now that you've had a chance to rehydrate, was the cut to 145 as easy as you thought it would be?
Easier.
Wow.
No, it was pretty straightforward. Like, it was only really a couple of pounds last night, a couple this morning. Like, it came off real good. Even when I was on weight, I was bouncing around and feeling a lot better than when I did the test cut even. So it's hands down, regardless of how tomorrow goes, this is my weight class for the future.
And Arnold Allen, 8-0, but not necessarily a household name. What was the initial thought when they came to you with Arnold Allen?
Hey, no, it's impossible to argue that someone on an 8-fight win streak is not positioning themselves for a title shot. So it's I take that momentum and I move forward myself in the division.
You were a very long, lengthy guy at 155, let alone at featherweight. Do you feel like you might present some looks and some problems that Arnold has not faced yet?
Oh, definitely. I'm massive. Yeah, I'm massive. Like, it's a terror. Like, I wouldn't want to fight me at featherweight. It's a rubbish idea. Yeah.
You've had some absolutely epic wars in your career. You've also had some phenomenal knockouts. What does your gut tell you is going to happen on Saturday?
Oh, I think the knee's coming out of the back pocket. I'm not shy. Yeah, I'm not shy about letting that one out of the bag. Yeah, we'll see. It's getting itchy.
He's got itchy knees. I'll let you go. Dan, thank you so much. Best of luck to you. Thank you. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Laura. Interesting point. Looks like you've had your crystal ball out, so it's all about the knee.
Or
is it?
Maybe it could be he's throwing us off. I don't think so. The way that Dan throws knees, that's always got to be the game plan. You're fighting a shorter opponent.
Found out about that, right, didn't it?
That is one of the most beautiful, perfect time knees that I've ever seen.
Not if you're Ross Pearson.
That's very true.
Yeah, no, good highlight though. He is coming out to a crowd that I think he believes is going to be really against him. I felt like he got a pretty decent reception at the weigh-ins, but whatever it takes. You've been in the position where, I was there in Auckland, and it was an intense week. One of the best fight week experiences I've had. I know you echo that, even though you were the guy in enemy territory. But how did you use that energy?
So, to me, you've got to have your why completely in place when you take on these kind of adventures where you're going to go to somebody else's backyard and fight them in front of all their friends, family, and crowd. You've got to have the exact reason on why you're there. And that, if you've got that down pat and you know what you're doing this for and what the plan is and how you're going to approach it, and you believe that you're better than that person, none of that matters.
Right.
You can shut that out. It just takes a focus that is not easy to obtain. And I think Dan is 100% one of the guys that can do that.
That is a great fight. Much looking forward to it. But Arnold Allen, very quickly, he's been away. The inconsistencies hurt him. But ultimately, 10-fight win streak, 8 in the UFC. That's so valuable.
I believe that this could be the coming out
This is the
party,
one, right?
We're talking about a guy, 8 fights, 8 wins in the UFC.
Unheard of.
But relatively unheard of, right?
Yeah.
And mainly inconsistency. And when we talked to Arnold, he said, listen, I do want to remedy that. I want to be busier, but you get injuries or the world shuts down. I mean, things happen to prevent you from being more consistent. And now he's got the perfect dance partner in front of him in Dan Hooker. Because no matter what happens on Saturday, as long as he's in a fist fight with Dan Hooker, people are now going to know who Arnold Allen is. And if he's victorious as well on that, and now on a 9-fight UFC winning streak, then he can start getting on the mic, make a big call out, and I think that's important. It's important, John. He needs to realize, and you don't have to be disrespectful to do it, right? You can be like, look, no offense to whoever, but you're ranked this number. I'm on this win streak. I need to be fighting these guys. And if he doesn't make a specific call out to a name, okay, I'll forgive him a little bit as long as he's like, I need them in the top 5.
Yeah.
I need top 10. I need whatever. Well, he's already, 7?
Yeah, he needs
top 5.
Yeah.
Top 5. You just took out Sadiq Yusuf, who's one of the strongest featherweights on the roster, and literally physically strong.
Yeah.
If he gets a win over Dan Hooker, Arnold, make a call out.
Yeah. And he can reward himself with the meal deals. If you know, you know. Right, moving along. And Laura Sanko caught up with Tom Aspinall, the man of the moment, the man on the poster. How is he sounding after being welcomed by the crowd ahead of his big fight with Alexander Volkov?
Well, Tom, you told me earlier this week the biggest crowd you've ever fought in front of was maybe 1,000 or 2,000 people. On Saturday, you were going to have the passion of 20,000 UK fans pouring over you. Do you have any strategy for staying in the zone, or are you going to actually allow yourself a moment to kind of take a beat and soak it all in?
To be honest with you, I have no idea. I've never done this before, so I'm just going to go in there. And I'm looking forward to answering these questions myself in my mind to go in there and see if I can perform under all them people, and I'm pretty sure that I can, but I don't know. We're going to find out.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
You're facing a 43-fight veteran in Alexander Volkov, a guy who really has seen about everything there is to see inside of the octagon. How do you go about imposing your game on a guy with so much experience?
Well, I just got to go in and do my thing. You know, Volkov's a massive threat. I've been watching him for a long, long time. Absolutely no disrespect to the Volkov, but I think it's the new age of heavyweight coming, and there's a few of us around, and I think I'm one of them guys. I'm going to show it on Saturday.
Anybody who fights Alexander Volkov has to take his frame into consideration. But standing next to you, to be honest, it's really just varying shades of really, really big people. I don't see much of a difference. Did you do anything specific to prepare for his range?
Yeah, I brought in so many tall sparring partners. I went over to Holland to spar with some big kickboxing guys as well. I was there with Rico Verhoeven, Benny Adigbuyi as well, who's a 6'7" guy, and just trying to get them big bodies in, just trying to get the best of the best and do everything that I can to prepare for him.
I did the math, and you can watch your entire UFC career in just under 6 minutes. How many minutes is it going to be on Sunday?
I don't know. We're going to find out. I'm sure it's definitely going to be longer than that.
Tom, thank you so much for taking a second. Appreciate it. Best of luck to you. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
Interesting stuff there from big Tom Aspinall. Honesty, I took from that. An honest assessment of where he's at. And he's not the kind of guy to really fluff it in any way. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times guys will get asked that question. They'll be like, no, it's not going to bother me. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to be focused. I'm going to knock his head off in 30 seconds easily, and I'm going to be out of there.
Media-trained dancer.
You don't know that.
Yeah.
You don't. How do you think you're going to handle it? I don't know.
Well, he literally doesn't, because he hasn't fought in front of the UFC fans yet.
And he's honest. He does not know. I actually find that a little bit refreshing, because I think that's a great headspace to be in. Because if you're going in there and you're convincing yourself, it's not going to bother me, it's not going to bother me. And then 20,000 people that want you to win who love you and know you and are rooting for you, and suddenly it gets to you.
Yeah.
At least if you're like, I don't know, and it's getting to you, you can be like, all right, you knew that this could happen. You knew this could be overwhelming. Once the fight actually starts, that all goes away. I don't care who you are, where you are. When somebody is trying to knock you out and fist fight you, you focus on that.
Yeah. And what was quite nice at the weigh-ins, he wasn't doing a Frankie Edgar to the octagon sprints.
Yeah.
He really
Took it in.
strolled, took it in, smelt the place, really sucked it down and was trying to enjoy every
Smelled
single
that
moment.
stale beer that maybe spilled there from years ago.
But why not, right?
Yeah.
Because every part of his senses are experiencing it. And it is like, it's Volkov versus Aspinall. So
Yeah.
you want to take in those moments, be present, because he's only going to live through each one of these things once.
Yeah, exactly. You get your debut, you get that first main event.
Oh,
and
yeah.
man, and for him, having a crowd, it's like a whole bunch of firsts in the UFC for him. But
Yeah.
just taking it in, that's so important. And I hate saying it's so cliche, but living in the moment, you have to take mental pictures of that kind of stuff, because he's gonna look back on this moment. Saturday night, he's gonna look back on this, no matter how it goes. And he's gonna be telling the kids, he's gonna be telling his grandchildren, all that kind of stuff. I mean, these are the moments that you become a fighter for. I mean, this is what you started training at. What did he say you started training at?
6, 7, 6.
I mean, come on, to be a fighter, a prize fighter, and now you get to do it for all these firsts for him in England. It's big, man.
Your self-help book would be good. And the audible version of it with your tones, I'd buy it. You have a buyer in me.
Let's get, guys, I'm taking offers.
I like it. One of the interesting stats about Tom is just how short his fights have been, and the fact that he hasn't accrued much fight time at all, and which is why his team are peddling the idea of taking it slow. But he confessed. It's all about to change. He's going to ruin those stats, which is probably a decent realization, because it's the toughest test of his career, no doubt.
And again, this is him just being honest with himself and being realistic. And that's so important too. When you're getting ready for a 25-minute fight with somebody as experienced as Volkov, you've got to know that maybe I don't get him out of there in a minute and a half, 2 minutes. It's just something that might happen.
Yeah. Did you notice Volkov's translator, the guy with the long hair?
Yeah.
And the tracksuit? Tom loves him. He thinks he's a glorious looking man. I saw him backstage, and they were like having a full-on conversation. But I mean, there's like real respect between the camps.
Volkov's probably talking to that guy like, "What are you, bro?
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Yeah, come over here.
Come on,
like,
man.
Why are you hanging out with?
You're my translator.
With the animal. Well,
He's a coach too, isn't he? Is he
don't know
just
if
a
he's
translator?
yeah, I think he might be.
Oh, and then
manager.
that's why him and Tom are probably chatting. Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Tom pulls him into his victory. Give the guy his moment. Like, he doesn't have to translate for me, but he looks good. Let's have him stand next to me while I celebrate.
Yeah.
It looks like that was blooming.
Well,
So
we'll have to make sure that that's arranged. If Tom wins, we'll be like, hey, make sure that
this guy sticks around.
Get that guy in there.
Yeah. Very good. Now, I know that obviously this analyst piece that you've done here is top draw, but it's always good to hear from another heavyweight, right?
Yeah.
And with that, we invited in Ciryl Gane, who is obviously connected to Alexander Volkov. He has shared the octagon with him, and there's been some connections between Cyryl's camp and Tom Aspinall's camp. So, of course, I had to ask him about this heavyweight contest and more. Here it is. Ciryl, thank you very much for stopping by. Great to see you.
Pleasure.
You are uniquely positioned to talk about the main event in London tomorrow, and I'm really keen to get your insight. But first, Tom Aspinall. For his first main event here in London, you have been through this process. How different is it to fight in a main event with 5 rounds, and even like he's in his hometown as well?
For me, it was really simple. You see, it was really simple to switch 3 rounds to 5 rounds. I knew already I was ready at the training. But yes, it's a little bit different when you have your face on the poster. For me, it was just a bonus. It was just a pleasure, more pleasure. It was really more pleasure, and when I'm happy, I'm good.
And of course, you fought Alexander Volkov.
Yeah.
How difficult was he to prepare for?
When you fight against the giant Rus, you must be prepared to receive some punch in your face.
Right.
It's really long and really tough, and if you want to make some problem to this guy, you must to go front on him, and that's why you must be ready to receive this on your face. That's okay.
I think some fans will say that you and Tom are the new breed with movements,
That's true.
light-footed and speed. Does Tom Aspinall have similar qualities to be able to get past the offense?
Yes, he is well-rounded like me, and he is technical. And I think this is the big thing we have similarly with him. Technical, more technical than a lot of guys in this division. So that's why the people compare it together. And yes, that's true. This is a new era, new generation of heavyweight, of 100%.
Maybe you and Tom down the line, you think it could be a fight that happens?
With me?
Yeah.
Of course. This is not a question.
You think this is definitely going to happen?
Yes. This is not a question. We have a long future front of us.
Yeah.
In the UFC. So 100% we're gonna fight together, and this is a pleasure. I like the fighter. I like him like a human with his father.
Yeah.
So kind. So it will be a pleasure.
Yeah. You got some plans? You're going out for some drinks, hit the nightlife here in London?
Yeah.
Next couple of nights?
But you see, I just saw yesterday. I enjoyed myself. It was not in my plan, but some people recognized me in the street, and he asked me to come in the club. So I say, why not?
It would be rude.
Yeah, and it was really cool. I love
stuff.
London.
Love it.
Really
Thank you
happy
very
to be
much
there.
for stopping by. Enjoy your time. Thank you very
my
much. Sounds like Cyryl's been enjoying London. I've got to say, you're like the pub guy. Sounds like he's the bars and nightclubs guy.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's what he strikes me as.
Frenchman.
Yeah, he's more sophisticated than I.
Yes.
I'm just like, I want to curl up in the corner and drink a whole bunch of beers to my face.
I liked what he was talking about with this kind of new breed of heavyweight fighter. It feels like there's a bit of a change, and they've come around this same period of time as well, which is very interesting. And I know Chris Daukaus is someone that you're close to as well. They've definitely given a new injection to the big boys.
Yeah, I think it's...
That was poorly said. A big injection to the landscape of the big boy division.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. I got what you were saying.
Thank you. Yes.
I think speed is a big part of this new breed of heavyweights. When we talk about that, when Ciryl talks about that, and you see that with Chris, with Ciryl, with Tom Aspinall. Now, granted,
all the while Francis Ngannou's getting bigger.
But similar to Derek Lewis as well. They've got to stay that way, because Francis Ngannou is never going to be the fastest guy in the octagon.
Right.
He's going to be the most powerful human being on earth,
Yes.
and that will get you pretty far.
That's a pretty good one to have.
Yeah.
Nice one. Paul, this has been brilliant to break this down with you in this wonderful studio with the beautiful backdrop of the City of London. We hope you've enjoyed this as well. You can check out the fights on BT Sport and ESPN+. Enjoy this one. We have waited 3 years for a UFC London event, and it is finally here. I'm John Gooden, Paul Felder. Until next time, enjoy the fights.